I didn't notice how far I'd slipped until I couldn't climb the stairs to my own apartment without gasping for air. It was a humid August evening, and as I trudged up to the second floor with my arms full of groceries, I had to stop halfway, leaning heavily on the railing. My heart raced like I'd just run a marathon, and beads of sweat trickled down my back. It wasn't the first time I felt this way, but for some reason, this time hit differently. When I finally reached my door, I fumbled with the keys and practically collapsed onto the couch. My body ached from head to toe, a constant reminder of the 265 pounds I carried on my 5 feet 3 inches frame. The groceries sat untouched as I scrolled through my phone, mindlessly flicking through Instagram photos of friends who seemed to have it all together, toned arms, beaming smiles, and captions about their latest workouts or healthy recipes. I'd roll my eyes, but deep down, I envied them. This wasn't how I imagined my life would turn out. In my early 20s, I was ambitious, vibrant, and full of dreams. I loved to dance, travel, and laugh with friends until our stomachs hurt. I pictured myself thriving by my 30s, married, building a career I loved, and raising a family. But life had a way of rerouting my plans. After college, I took a corporate job that quickly consumed my time and energy. The long hours left little room for cooking or exercise, and before I knew it, fast food became my lifeline. A promotion meant more responsibility, more stress, and less time for myself. I told myself it was temporary, that I'd focus on my health once things settled down. But life never settled down. By the time I turned 32, I was burned out, single, and utterly disconnected from the world. Most evenings, I'd retreat to my one-bedroom apartment, binge-watch TV, and eat whatever I could grab quickly, a pizza, Chinese takeout, or microwave dinners. My weight crept up steadily, but I avoided scales and mirrors, convincing myself that if I didn't look, it wasn't real. The truth was, I felt trapped. Trapped in a body that didn't feel like mine. Trapped in a routine that left me exhausted and unfulfilled. Even the smallest tasks, walking to the car, bending down to tie my shoes, or carrying groceries, felt monumental. And then there was the shame. Every time I saw my reflection in a store window or caught a sideways glance from a stranger, I'd hear a cruel voice in my head whispering, "You did this to yourself." Socializing became a distant memory. I dreaded events where I'd have to dress up because nothing fit right, and I hated how I looked in photos. My friends stopped inviting me out after I declined too many times. And even when I did go, I felt out of place, like I didn't belong in the world they lived in. One memory still haunts me. My niece, Sophie, was having a birthday party at a trampoline park. I showed up wearing jeans and a baggy sweater, hoping to blend into the background. Sophie ran up to me, her face glowing with excitement, and begged me to jump with her. "Please, Auntie. It'll be fun," she said, tugging at my hand. I froze. The thought of bouncing on a trampoline in front of a crowd made my stomach churn. What if I couldn't keep up? What if I fell? What if I broke the trampoline? I smiled weakly and made up an excuse about my back hurting. Sophie's face fell, and she muttered, "Okay," before running off. I sat in the corner that day, watching her laugh and play with everyone else. I tried to convince myself it didn't matter, but the truth was, I felt like a spectator in my own life. The physical toll was bad enough, but the emotional weight was heavier. I hated how I'd become a shell of who I once was, but the idea of changing felt overwhelming. Where would I even begin? I'd tried diets before, countless ones. Keto, Weight Watchers, juice cleanses. Each time, I'd lose a few pounds only to gain them back, plus more. Exercise felt impossible, just walking on a treadmill left me winded. The worst part was the voice in my head. It told me I was too far gone, that I'd never be able to undo the damage I'd done to myself. It told me I didn't deserve to be happy or healthy. I started to believe it. I'd scroll through social media and see before and after photos of women who'd lost weight and transformed their lives. Part of me wanted to believe it was possible, but a bigger part of me thought, that'll never be you. I convinced myself that they had something I didn't: discipline, willpower, or time. I had none of those things. Or so I thought. Then came the day that changed everything. It wasn't some big, dramatic moment. It wasn't a doctor's warning or a near-death experience. It was something small, something almost ordinary. I was cleaning out my closet, trying to make room for the new clothes I'd ordered online, bigger sizes, of course. As I dug through the piles, I found a pair of jeans from college. Faded and slightly torn, they were a size 8. I held them up to my body and laughed bitterly. The waistband barely stretched across my thighs. For reasons I still can't explain, I didn't put them back. Instead, I sat on the floor, holding those jeans and thinking about the girl who used to wear them. She wasn't perfect, but she was happy. She believed she could do anything. She had dreams and the courage to chase them. I missed her. In that moment, something inside me shifted. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I had to try. Not to fit back into those jeans, but to find that girl again. The one who danced, laughed, and believed in herself. I didn't tell anyone about my decision at first. It felt too fragile, like a flame that could be snuffed out if I said it out loud. But I made a promise to myself: I would take one step, no matter how small, every single day. Looking back, I didn't realize that holding those jeans was the first step. It was the moment I decided I was worth fighting for. Part 2, the turning point. For the first time in years, I woke up with a sense of urgency. The old pair of jeans still sat on my bedroom floor, a quiet reminder of my decision the day before: I am worth fighting for. But as the initial spark of determination settled, doubt crept in. What if you fail again? What makes this time any different? You don't even know where to start. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the chaos in my room. My heart sank under the weight of all the times I'd tried and failed. Diet plans abandoned, gym memberships wasted. The voice of defeat was louder than ever, and for a moment, I thought about giving up before I even began. But then I heard it, the faintest sound of laughter coming from the living room. Liam. He was watching cartoons, his giggles echoing through the apartment like sunlight breaking through clouds. In that moment, I realized something: this wasn't just about me. It was about him too. He deserved a mom who could play with him, keep up with him, and show him what it meant to live fully. That realization lit a fire in me. I grabbed my phone and started Googling how to start losing weight. The results overwhelmed me: keto, calorie counting, intermittent fasting, meal prep. There was so much advice, so many rules. But one phrase stuck out: just start moving. That afternoon, I laced up my sneakers, pulled on some old leggings and a sweatshirt, and stepped outside. I didn't have a plan, just a promise to myself: walk for 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes. I made it 4. For minutes in, my chest burned, my legs ached, and I felt like quitting. But something inside me whispered, one more step. Just one more. So I kept going. By the time I made it back to my apartment, I was drenched in sweat and gasping for air, but I felt something I hadn't felt in years: pride. The next day, I walked for 5 minutes. Then 6. Each step felt like a victory, and those short walks became the cornerstone of my routine. But it wasn't just about moving more. I knew I had to change how I ate too. I started small, swapping soda for water and adding vegetables to my meals. I didn't overhaul everything at once. I focused on making better choices, one meal at a time. At first, it felt like a losing battle. My cravings for fast food and sugar were relentless. I'd pace around the kitchen at night, staring at the cupboard where I knew the cookies were. Sometimes I'd cave, eating 3 or 4 in one sitting and feeling the familiar wave of guilt wash over me. But instead of letting it derail me completely, I'd remind myself: one slip doesn't erase all the progress you've made. Tomorrow is a new day. About 3 weeks in, something unexpected happened. Liam noticed. "Mom, why are you going on walks every day?" he asked one evening as I was tying my shoes. I hesitated, unsure how to explain it to him. "I'm trying to get healthier," I said finally. He tilted his head, thinking. "Can I come with you?" I blinked, caught off guard. "You want to come on my walk?" "Yeah. I think it'd be fun." Fun. That word hit me like a ton of bricks. To him, this wasn't about weight or calories or shame, it was just about spending time together. And for the first time, I saw my walks not as a chore, but as an opportunity. From that day on, Liam became my walking buddy. We'd talk about school, movies, or his latest Lego creations, and I found myself looking forward to our time together. He kept me accountable too. On days when I wanted to skip, he'd say, "Come on, Mom. We can't stop now." But the biggest hurdle was yet to come, the gym. Walking was one thing, but stepping into a gym felt like entering enemy territory. I was terrified of being judged. What if people stared at me? What if I didn't know how to use the machines? It took weeks of psyching myself up before I finally worked up the courage to go. The gym was small, tucked into a strip mall a few blocks from my apartment. When I walked in, my heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. The receptionist, a bubbly woman named Erica, greeted me with a warm smile. "First time here?" she asked. I nodded, barely able to meet her eyes. "No worries," she said, handing me a form to fill out. "We've all been there. Let me know if you need anything." Her kindness put me at ease, and I started coming a few times a week. At first, I stuck to the treadmill, walking at a slow pace and avoiding eye contact with anyone around me. But as the weeks passed, I grew more comfortable. I started experimenting with weights and trying out group classes. One day, I decided to join a beginner's strength training class. I was the heaviest person in the room, and I couldn't keep up with the instructor's pace. My muscles screamed in protest, and I felt tears prick the corners of my eyes. But instead of quitting, I thought about Liam and the look on his face when he asked to join my walks. I thought about those jeans on my bedroom floor and the girl I used to be. One more rep, just one more. The instructor, Beth, noticed my struggle and came over. "You're doing great," she said quietly. "Don't worry about keeping up. Just go at your own pace." Her encouragement gave me the boost I needed to finish the class. And when it was over, I felt like I could conquer the world. Over the next 6 months, my progress was slow but steady. The numbers on the scale began to drop, but the real changes were happening on the inside. I felt stronger, more confident, and more in control of my life. My cravings for junk food faded, and I started experimenting with healthy recipes, inviting Liam to help me in the kitchen. There were setbacks, of course. Days when I felt too tired to work out or moments when I'd slip back into old habits. But each time, I reminded myself of the promise I'd made: you are worth fighting for. One day, while cleaning out my closet, I came across the old pair of jeans again. This time, I didn't feel sadness or regret. I felt determination. I held them up to my waist and smiled. "Someday soon," I whispered to myself. Part 3. After the transformation 2 years later, I hardly recognized the woman I used to be physically. I've shed 90 pounds, but the number on the scale is the smallest part of my transformation. What matters most is how I feel: strong, vibrant, and alive. My body moves with ease now. Climbing stairs, running errands, or even chasing Liam around the park are no longer insurmountable tasks. They're simply parts of my life, things I do without a second thought. But it's not just the physical changes that make me proud, it's the way my mind and heart have. I've discovered a confidence I never knew I had. The woman who used to avoid mirrors now smiles at her reflection every morning. The woman who used to make excuses to skip social events now shows up, unapologetically herself. I no longer hide in the back of group photos or strategically angle my body to avoid showing too much. Instead, I stand tall, smiling with the same energy I used to envy in others. Liam's pride in me has been the most rewarding part of all. He's my biggest cheerleader, always telling his friends about our hikes or my healthy recipes. Recently, he brought home a school project titled, My Hero, and my heart nearly burst when I saw my name at T. My mom is strong, he wrote. She works hard and never gives up. She's the best. Tears filled my eyes as I read his words, because they reminded me of why I started this journey in the first place. It wasn't just about losing weight. It was about becoming the kind of mom and now, I'm not just keeping up with him, I'm leading by example. We spend weekends hiking trails, trying new activities, and cooking meals together. I've taught him how to make his own smoothie bowls, and he loves inventing new combinations. At work, my newfound confidence has spilled over into my professional life. I recently got a promotion after presenting a bold idea to my team, a presentation I wouldn't have dared to give 2 years ago. My colleagues have noticed the change, often commenting on how energetic and motivated I've become. The most unexpected part of this journey, though, has been the ripple effect it's had on others. Friends who once shared my struggles have reached out, inspired by my progress. Some have started their own journeys, joining me for workouts or swapping recipes. One of my closest friends, Claire, told me, watching you take control of your life made me realize I could too. There's something profoundly powerful about realizing that your transformation isn't just about you, it's about the people you inspire along the way. Of course, the journey hasn't been without challenges. There are days when the scale doesn't budge, or I feel tempted by old habits. But I've learned to be kind to myself, to see those moments as part of the process rather than failures. I no longer strive for perfection, I strive for progress. Recently, I revisited a moment that once filled me with shame, Sophie's birthday party at the trampoline park. This time, when I was invited to a similar event, I didn't hesitate. I joined the kids on the trampolines, laughing until my sides hurt. I even raced Sophie through an obstacle course and beat her by a split second, though she insists she let me win. Afterward, Sophie hugged me and said, "Auntie, you're so fun now." Her words struck a chord because they reminded me of something important. This isn't just about weight loss. It's about reclaiming joy. And then there's the pair of jeans. The ones that started it all. A few months ago, I decided to try them on, just for fun. I pulled them out of the back of my closet, where they'd been waiting like an old friend. As I slid them on, they fit perfectly, not too tight, not too loose. But instead of focusing on the fact that they fit, I thought about everything those jeans represented, the girl I used to be, the struggles I overcame, and the strength I found along the way. I don't wear them often, but I keep them as a reminder of how far I've come. If there's one thing I've learned from this journey, it's that transformation isn't about grand gestures or overnight success. It's about showing up every day, even when it's hard. It's about taking one step, then another, and trusting that those steps will lead somewhere beautiful. If you're reading this and feeling stuck, I want you to know that change is possible. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. Because no matter where you are today, you're worth fighting for. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What part of this story resonates with you the most? Have you ever experienced a moment where you decided to take control of your life? Share your story, I'd love to cheer you on.